I got a tip very early this morning from an official source that was very familiar with the arrest and saying Don Lemon was in custody. They wouldn't specify because they didn't have the warrant in front of them exactly what the charges are. But this is, as you said, he was in Los Angeles, by the way, to cover the Grammys. He lives in New York. But this is in connection to activities that happened here in Minneapolis. As you remember, there was a protest that happened at a church in, well, not Minneapolis, but St. Paul, because there were people there protesting one of the pastors who worked with ICE. And so people showed up to the church. They started protesting. That day, Don Lemon was at the church. He was interviewing the pastor. He has said that he was there in his capacity as a journalist. And then federal prosecutors later sought arrest warrants for 5 people, including Don Lemon, in connection to this protest, accusing them of interfering with churchgoers' constitutionally protected right to worship. But then a magistrate judge refused to sign the warrant for Lemon, citing a lack of probable cause. Then the Justice Department took what has been described as an unusual step of asking a federal appeals court, so lower court, to force the warrants to be signed at the, or a higher court, rather, at the record. And then the appeals court denied. So we have 2 courts that had denied to press charges. Somehow now Don Lemon has been arrested.
And a statement from his lawyer reads in part, quote, Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in L.A., where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The statement goes on to read that the First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There's no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Again, this statement from Don Lemon's lawyer moments ago just being sent to us here in our newsroom.
Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant for him. So there was experts who were predicting that perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel. Now, typically, standard procedure with an arrest like this is the defendant will likely make their first court appearance sometime the same day. So there's a chance we may see Don Lemon make his first court appearance in Los Angeles sometime today. But obviously, this is going to grab all sorts of headlines. 3 other protesters from that church storming, have already been arrested, including who the feds say was the organizer of that protest. The woman in the middle there is a school board member in St. Paul, and then the mugshot on the right is an online personality / agitator, if you want to call him that. He's known as the Woke Farmer. Those were the 3 people that the feds had already arrested, but we have confirmed that Don Lemon has now been arrested in Los Angeles in connection with that viral incident. We all saw the video of it that spread and drew widespread condemnation. The feds have been going after these people on FACE Act violations. So this is still breaking news. Once we get more details about the potential charges here, a court appearance, we'll, of course, update our viewers.
Yes. Okay. Okay, well, this is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back. So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant. Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant.
Do you want to wear my black boots?
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press.
So let me get this correct. It's against the law to report the news. I understand it's against the law to go into a place of worship and interrupt them, which is interesting because what's his name? Dylan Roof, that went into a church and unalived 9 black people, and they took him to Burger King after that. But that's neither here nor there. That's a completely different story. But Don Lemon gets arrested for doing what journalists do for a living. Let's take a step back from Fox News and their, biased way of reporting. Here's a statement from Don Lemon's attorney, Abe Lowell. He says, Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There is no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest, and that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. And that's interesting that they say it's an attempt to distract attention, because in the comment section of this post, everybody's saying, wow, they just doing everything they can to keep the attention off them Epstein files, huh? And I gotta agree. I'm like, well, what is it? What is it that's so bad and so that you're doing everything in your power to keep the attention away from? I seen that they said something in the Epstein files about Trump allegedly had something with he told an underage girl to perform some type of act on him or something. I can't remember the exact quote, so don't quote me on that. But I'm just saying, this is not American. This is not freedom of speech. This is not, it was reporting the news. If it was some wrongdoing and somebody went there to show that there was wrongdoing being done, wouldn't you want that to be covered so that you could go actually catch the people who broke the law? I don't know. Am I tripping? Let me know what y'all think in the comments section.
If I had a machine that could travel through time, I would go back some years with a Mac and a 9, 2 Uzis with a few grenades in my hand, 8Ks, HKs, more Ks than the Klan. Fuck a nigga gonna do against me with a musket. I'm talking about them days they would stone you in public. You probably go back in time to meet Jesus Christ. I'd ask Jesus for help to steal Judas Ice. Amen.
You got music, you got a business, you got a product or service, but you're not making enough money off of it because you don't have enough exposure. DM or email me right now to get promoted on my platforms. I have 850,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have 460,000 followers on Instagram. I have the following that you want to get seen in front of. I was able to increase the sales of this Amazon book off of a YouTube sponsorship with just 30,000 views. And I was able to give this artist 15,000 views with the Instagram repost in less than 24 hours. So DM or email me at booking cranklucas@gmail.com right now to get more exposure and more money for your business.